Let me just start off by saying that if you're going through a really tough breakup and you're a grown-ass man with like a mustache and everything, it's okay to blast Taylor Swift in your car and cry a little bit. Nobody's gonna say anything. Nobody's going to notice aside from maybe that homeless dude walking by your car. Just because you have a big burly mustache does not mean that you don't have a heart, okay? So it's okay to cry. Anyways, all jokes aside, in today's video, I thought that we would take a look back at 2024, just Marvel Legends in general, and then we would take a look at the most expensive Marvel Legends for that particular year. I'm not going to have any rules or any boundaries because I feel like if I start making rules and boundaries, I'm going to eventually break them. So I'm just not going to make any. I think most of these were either released in 2024 or, you know, they kind of maybe slipped the cracks a little bit. Maybe they're like really late 2023 or just really late 2025. So I'm just going to kind of group those all together. We're going to take a look at the most expensive Marvel Legends for the year of 2024, and yes, they had to have been released within that time frame. Okay, I have actually made videos or multiple different videos talking about like the top 5 most expensive Marvel Legends for each individual character. So if you guys are interested in watching something similar to that, you guys can definitely go ahead and check that out. And I've also done a top 5 most expensive just Marvel Legends in general, but today's video I just wanted to kind of recap what happened in 2024 and just look at some of the Marvel Legends that are the most sought after, that people are willing to sell a limb over. And as I said, I'm not going to make any rules. Some of these are exclusive, some of these are deluxes, and yes, I might have missed some characters here and there, but these type of lists, you always forget stuff. It's very difficult to keep track of everything unless you actually take notes. And let's be brutally honest, I don't take notes. That's not my MO. That's not my game. But anyways, all jokes aside, let's get straight into today's video with the most expensive Marvel Legends of the year 2024. And you guys are probably going to hate me for this, but yes, we're talking about that Marvel Legends action figure that had like 100 points of articulation just in his fingers. Yes, we're talking about the HasLab Giant-Man. Originally, this was supposed to be a $200 figure with shipping and taxes and everything, probably closer to about $250. Right now, if you're looking to pick it up, it's closer to about the $450 range. It depends on whether you're willing to get into like a bidding war with other collectors, but most of the listings are going for either very low 400s or like mid 400s. I said this before and I'll say it again, it's like the most stripped down version of a HasLab project. No extras aside from like some face sculpts or some face plates and things of that nature. That's about it. There were no extra figures, no extra real accessories to speak of. But then again, you were only paying the $200 price point. I think they could have easily made this like a $400 offering with like extra figures, maybe a Hank Pym or a shrunk down Ant-Man with like minimal articulation, but this is what they went with. And honestly, I think it was the best situation at the time because a lot of people were complaining about HasLab projects and the price points, and I think this was kind of like a middle ground that made most collectors happy, or at least the most collectors that you possibly could make happy with a HasLab project. So I guess the official list, quote unquote, starts now because, you know, the HasLab projects don't count, I guess. Anyways, we're taking a look at the Target exclusive Marvel Legends Warbird, and yes, this is on a brand new female body mold. It's one of the newer ones that we've seen over the past few years, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I still think that some of the new female body molds can definitely benefit from some updates. We're not just talking about like pinless technology and double jointed elbows and knees. I'm talking about like better ab crunches and better, you know, neck articulation. Some of these still lack in that department, so hopefully they, you know, turn their attention to this. Personally, I don't think I ever saw this figure in stores, so I'm not sure if this is supposed to be only made available online, but I don't remember ever seeing this in person. So it was really interesting. It was a very difficult figure to find, and then eventually it's kind of settling along those lines of like the, you know, mid 50s to $60 with taxes and shipping and everything included. In my personal humble opinion, it's an absolute shame because I have heard some great things about this figure, and there have been people that have been waiting for this character or this iteration of this character for many years, and they just completely whiffed. So maybe hopefully down the line we're able to see this re-released in some form or some capacity. I will say Hasbro has kind of been missing the mark when it comes down to exclusives, because usually they know exactly what to make an exclusive. If it's a character or figure that they know is just not going to sell well at, you know, in a large retail setting, they usually make it an exclusive. But in this particular case, I think they completely whiffed it, and this ended up being one of the most coveted figures out there. So if you guys are interested in getting it, you can either be patient and wait for a re-release, or actually pick this figure up for about like $55 to $60. The next figure up on today's list is actually extremely similar. We have a Walmart exclusive Marvel Legends retro carded Venom. Now this one was supposed to be a quote-unquote upgrade over the previous version, which was the Amazon triple pack. However, it was kind of a sideways move. It was a sidestep. It really wasn't a move in the correct direction, at least in the form that we expected it. Yes, it did come with that double ab articulation. Unfortunately, the neck was completely ruined. They decided to take away the hinge. I'm not sure what these engineers were puffing or smoking, but they completely missed it. It kind of seemed like they upgraded one portion of the figure, but then downgraded the other. So hopefully in the foreseeable future, we get, you know, a correctly updated Marvel Legends Venom. However, this is still one of the most coveted because of that double ab articulation, which I've honestly kind of compared both of them. It's a slight improvement. It's not even that great. I will say it looks better than an ugly hinge. That double ab articulation just looks more natural and makes the figure look as accurate as, I guess, a human body can look at a $25 price point. But yeah, if you guys are interested in this one, 55, about the same price point. I mean, you may be able to find some for about $50 with taxes and everything, but, you know, closer to 55. I will say anybody that whiffed on this here in the States and then claimed that they weren't able to get their hands on this figure, they're buffoons, because this figure was actually made available for, I want to say, weeks. Like, I actually made my pre-order the day of and then checked back on it like 3 to 4 days later, and it was still up for pre-order, and even past that, I think maybe a week or two. So it just makes no sense that here in the States people missed out on it and now are complaining, saying that, you know, it was very difficult to acquire because it was a Walmart exclusive. This one was made available. You can actually go and verify this information yourself, but yeah, it was readily available. People just got really lazy, or there are a ton of people in the collector community that only want to pick up stuff if it's, you know, highly coveted or if it's selling out. If they see it still in stock after like a few minutes, they just lose interest in it. But yeah, this is one of those interesting ones. Like I said, probably around that same price point. I will say I think we should expect a massively updated Venom figure within this next year. So I would probably be a little bit more patient. You can find the Amazon exclusive loose Venom for probably about like $20 something. But Venom is one of the best characters in the Marvel universe, so it's only a matter of time before we get one in the foreseeable future. So I would personally just say stay patient, stay the course. We'll get a Venom this year for sure. Next up, we do have that VHS Hasbro Pulse exclusive Spider-Man with Vulture. And it's funny because when this first came out, you guys can actually go backtrack and look at my previous video where I actually talked about this being released. I thought it was an absolute joke. Like, it was a completely outdated Spider-Man. Vulture didn't have the correct articulation. It was just a really frustrating release, especially considering this was released in 2024. Towards the end of 2024, it didn't make sense that these figures were not on updated body molds. But I guess I am the complete idiot here, because these figures are going for astronomically high prices. This 2-pack originally retailed, if I'm not mistaken, for about $50 or $55. It's not going for about $180 with shipping and fees and everything included. And again, I believe this one was widely available for a few days or at least a week or so. I don't think this sold out, or at least it didn't sell out immediately, because I do remember going on the page and having the option to pre-order it. Personally, I was kind of offended at this figure being thrown in my face, and so I decided to skimp out on it. And I don't really change my choice just because it's gone up in value, but for those people that like to have value in their displays, this is a perfect example of that. These are two figures that I don't think anybody saw as gaining value. We see a lot of other 2-packs like the Symbiote Spider-Man and the Carnage, which hasn't gone up too much in value. I mean, it is more expensive than the Hasbro Pulse retail price, but it still hasn't gone to like astronomically high prices the way that this particular 2-pack has gone. So if you guys are interested, you're almost paying about like $180 to $190 depending on, you know, the eBay seller and things of that nature, but that's usually the price point that you're going to be getting. And I will say it's an absolute shame that it comes in that VHS packaging, because there is no window. You're taking a little bit of a risk, especially if you're buying through eBay or Amazon. there is a slight chance that you get like an empty box or somebody swaps a figure or an accessory in there. So just be very wary, be very cautious, make sure that you're buying from a seller that has, you know, a very good reputation and overall very good ratings. Following that same theme, we actually have another 2-pack. We have that Marvel Legends Hydro-Man and Daredevil 2-pack. Came with a plethora of different accessories. This was an updated Hydro-Man. The previous one I actually prefer because it was kind of like half powered up and then half still humanized, whereas in this is like full-on translucent blue plastic, but then you have a Daredevil with some of that upgraded tech, you know, pinless technology, double ab articulation, things of that nature. It was absolutely perfect, and it truly represents that. This is a figure that, very similarly to our latest entry, it's going in the high 100s. I wouldn't be surprised that within like the next year or so, if it doesn't become widely available again, this could potentially hit $200, just because everybody loves that Daredevil. Everybody's looking for an upgraded or an updated Hydro-Man. We always know that Spider-Man villains are perpetually relevant. Not to mention Daredevil's popularity is obviously going to rise with the new Disney Plus show right around the corner. This 2-pack is only going to become more coveted and more sought after. I will say though, I definitely feel like we're going to get more Daredevil within the next year or so, and then same thing with Spider-Man villains. We're going to continue to get more and more, especially with the newest animated Disney Plus show thrusting a spotlight onto Spider-Man villains yet again. And then finally, topping out today's list, we have that Hank Pym and Wasp Hasbro Pulse exclusive 2-pack. And the best thing about this particular 2-pack is that it does not come in that ugly VHS packaging. There is a window, which means that if you do decide to buy it through Amazon or through eBay, you will have a window to look through and you can actually verify if all of the accessories and all of the figures are in there. And by the way, this isn't in any order specifically because this is technically not the most expensive Marvel Legend. Even if we take the Giant-Man HasLab out of it, it's still only going for about like $160 to $170 with shipping and taxes and all of the fees included. And I will say, unlike all of the offerings that we've mentioned so far on today's list, this one definitely caught me by surprise. I did not expect this particular 2-pack to be as expensive as it was. When I actually started doing research for today's video, I was definitely caught off guard. I did not expect this to be well over $100. Maybe the HasLab Giant-Man spiked this particular 2-pack. I'm not 100% sure. But let's also not forget, this is one of the few Marvel Legends action figures that actually has some clothed goods. It's definitely one of the better offerings in a 2-pack from Hasbro. And I definitely have to say I understand, at least to a certain extent, why this particular figure has spiked. Even though it was very surprising, I now understand. I mean, you know, taking a closer look at it and seeing the cloth goods and seeing how we don't really have that many comic book accurate Giant-Mans, this one just makes perfect sense. But anyways, there you guys have it. I'm not going to ramble. I'm not going to get too deep into it. I just wanted to give you guys a quick little heads up on the most expensive action figures for 2024. This was mostly just curiosity on my part. I wanted to do a little bit of research. I wanted to kind of just get a gauge for what it is that people were really interested in when it came down to the year of 2024 in terms of Marvel Legends. I do plan on making a couple more videos with the same stylings. I'm going to do maybe one for the DC Multiverse or just McFarlane in general. And then I may do some import figures, so stay tuned for that. Maybe a most expensive NECA list. I'm not sure. I'm just spitballing here. As I said, this is just randomness and out of pure curiosity. So very curious to see what you guys have to say. Do you guys own any of these? Did I forget to mention any action figures from 2024 that have spiked up in price? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know I've been kind of throwing this out there, but I'll do it one more time. If you guys are interested in following us on Instagram, I will start posting there, you know, mostly just action figure poses and things of that nature, maybe some photography. And then if you guys want to check out our other channel where we talk about like Marvel movies and, you know, anything comic book related and pop culture related, really, if you guys are interested, you guys can check that out as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to stay up to date with the channel because we do have some projects in the works and I hope to showcase them within the next, you know, few months. So definitely stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. And as always, enjoy the hobby, photograph your figures, pose them, display them, just have fun. Let's not forget why it is that we collect action figures. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one.